Whoa.
Oh my God, it's happening.
Whoa, it's happening.
Ah,
It's a little blurry.
you think so?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Is it this?
Nope.
No.
That's
We'll have
better.
that on. Oh, the first live stream we've done.
Yeah.
We've got 2 people here, it says. This is just so much different than Instagram.
Yeah, bear with us because this is our first time doing a live, so
Mhm.
we're still learning stuff. But
So the chat's over here
yeah, got it.
to answer questions. Looks like there's 3 people with us. Nice.
Hi, April.
Oh, that was from earlier.
Oh.
She's not able to make
Oh,
it.
darn. Not there.
But we're here. We're
Yeah,
live.
we're still recovering from HHN, but
I think I finally recovered partway through
I
this
have
week.
not.
But Ben also had late nights this week, so
It is.
oh,
It'd be like
life.
that sometimes.
Life.
How long does it take you guys to recover from like Halloween Horror Nights? Because ours was almost a solid week.
I did get sick. I came home and had like a head cold,
Yeah.
so that added to the misery. But like, we had such a fun time that it was hard to like stop and take a break.
Oh, we had
sleep.
an absolute blast.
But tonight, we're talking all about the HHN experience that we had for the first week, and particularly with that, the top 10 house rankings. And to add a little bit of a fun twist to it,
superlatives.
We came up with our house superlatives for each of the 10 houses to tell you a little bit more about what we think of each of the houses.
Also, as we go through this, we'll talk about things that we learned, things that we knowledge we can bestow upon people going to HHN, because like we learned a lot this trip, and some of it's really useful information if you guys are going later on in the HHN season.
It's true. Oh yeah, couldn't recover until maybe today. I
feel
it took the full week for us.
I feel that.
Like I started feeling normal by Wednesday, but even then, like, and then you had a late night, overnight couple days at work. So this weekend, I think we'll be 100% again. Finally.
So moving into the houses and our house rankings, we decided that we were going to do a slightly different and do it on a live versus making a video, just because it's more fun. It's more engaging. You guys can tell us what you think. See if you agree.
Argue with us.
Argue with us, because we always love a spirited argument.
Yeah.
Or debate. It's not really an argument, but because they were all pretty good.
It's not an argument because I'm going to win, but but we're going to start with number 10, work our way through, explain why we picked each of them in the order we did, what we thought of each house. And I hope that helps people in deciding where they want to start their nights, what houses they want to do when they go to HHN, and really make the most of their evening there. Particularly if you're only there for like a night to make the most of it.
Time is precious. And especially night one, we didn't eat, like we were booking it with an express pass and we still didn't finish every house on night one. So
on my behalf, we started late. Well, yeah. But that's because there was a storm.
We'll get into the rain and stuff like that too.
Yeah. But are you ready to kick off our house ranking?
Number 10. Chucky. Ultimate kill count.
Chucky's ultimate kill count. Definitely hit number 10 for us.
We're not Chucky fans though either.
Right away. We're not Chucky fans. I can appreciate people that are. Yeah. But it wasn't a scary house for me.
It was just not our speed.
Like, I think I scream in most houses. I can walk through Chucky ultimate kill count and not scream.
The animatronic in the very beginning is very impressive, very lifelike.
It's a very well done animatronic. In fact, we did the Behind the Screams tour, so we'll reference that a little bit, but we got to kind of go and see this animatronic, even though it had a bag on its head. It was being worked on that day. But like, it's very real, and it really helped me appreciate it as you went through the house a time or two later. But it wasn't the scariest for me. Like, I'm not that scared of a doll. There are very good details in the house. Like, if you look on the floor, as you should, there are little Chucky footprints of him running around.
Why would I look at the floor?
Because why not? And there's also one interactive part in the Chucky house that a lot of people miss as they're walking through, but there is a button you can hit. Just
Mhm.
a
If
fun
you're
little
going into the
fact.
Christmas room, as soon as you're going into the Christmas room, there'll be a button on the right-hand side.
Smack it.
Give it a smack.
Yeah. I think a lot of people walk past that and miss it,
Yeah.
and we would have had we not done the behind the screens tour. So kudos to Alicia for pointing that out for us.
But what was our superlative?
Chucky is the least likely of houses to go through more than once.
Yep.
Now, we did go through it more than once, but that was because we had a challenge to do and a couple other filming pieces that we had to do. Given that being removed, we probably would have just done it once and called it good and been like, we're
So,
good. We've got other houses to hit.
We will caveat that our first time through Chucky was on night 1 because you have to.
Yeah.
It said it was a 60-minute wait, and we waited 60 minutes in the express queue, not even on standby.
While we were in the express queue, it changed to a 120-minute
So-
wait. So that definitely put a damper on our
Yeah,
evening.
definitely kind of started us off on the wrong foot with Chucky, and
Yeah.
it didn't get much better.
But just as a house, I'd say you got to go through
Mm-hmm.
it once, and then once might be good to say that you've done it.
But there are
For
a lot of
those who
people that love
are avid Chucky fans, enjoy.
Yeah.
It is right up your alley if you are a Chucky fan. There's quite a few Chuckies in that house, actually. So
There's like 25,
there's a
23,
lot.
mid-20s.
There's a lot. So,
But-
all right, moving on. Number 9.
9.
Now, to add to this, everything from 9 to 1 now
Pretty
is
close.
tough.
Yeah.
I think they did a absolutely spectacular job this year with the houses. Last year, it was very easy to spread
Mhm.
all the rankings out. This year, picking everything between 9 and 1 was difficult. So, number 9 is Yeti.
Yeti was great. Yeti was kind of a play on a few of the houses they have done in the past,
Mhm.
particularly Yeti and the Yukon. Lots of little Yetis in it, but it's a great storyline. Which we may as well just say the superlative now, which was the funniest storyline.
Yes.
There's Mama Yetis, there's Daddy Yetis, there's Yetis getting attacked by bees, there's Billy poking a Yeti with a stick. Like,
The Yeti house is what I would equate as far as humor goes to the Bug house last year. By no means same theming, very different theming, but the humor's there just like in the Bug house. And it was cute. Like the first run through, it frightened me. I screamed my head off. And those Yetis are bigger than you expect. But it was a fun house to go through after getting to understand the storyline, to know what to look for, to see, like Ben said, Billy poking a baby Yeti and then getting grabbed up. And so very fun themed house, very detailed. In particular, I have a picture that I think I put on our Instagram story of the s'mores that are strewn about. And so I enjoyed that house a lot. I could go through it a number of times. Hey, Jody.
Hey, Jody.
And it was just well done. Again, the 9 through 1 are all good houses. So very happy with how it went. Yeti is the funniest storyline.
Number 8, and this one's going to start some drama.
You guys might disagree with us.
There's going to be a lot of people that disagree with you on this one.
Number 8.
Stranger Things 4.
It is a good house.
It's a great house. It's a great house.
And I think Ben understands the story of 11 and
Not really.
Vecna.
No.
Okay. Well, I was trying to give it some hope, but
I get it. No, I get it. I'm just being sarcastic.
It was really well done with the season 4 story. One piece of it, and I feel like we're not really giving away any sort of spoilers or anything as we talk about this, but one piece of this house is that there are so many facets of the season 4 storyline in Stranger Things that they specifically focused on Vecna's story, which, as Ben has talked about leading up to this,
Vecna.
It's going to be about Vecna. And it really is. They did a great job with it. They have some really cool scenes.
It's really like,
it was good.
It was good.
I think people who are like diehard Stranger Things fans absolutely adored the house. And you can tell because of the wait time.
Oh yeah, that was the thing I wanted to hit on when
Yeah.
you were done, was like Stranger Things will have the longest wait time,
Yes.
bar none. Like
No questions asked.
it will start at probably a 90-minute wait right out of Stay and Scream, and it will probably dip down to what, maybe an hour. If you catch it under an hour, it's that you can get in the line. And so like if we talk about what Stay and Screams to start with, like New York, in order to knock out Stranger Things during
Mhm.
Stay and Scream, if you're there for one night, you have to do the New York Stay and Scream.
Yeah. Definitely get in the Stranger Things queue early. We had a night where the amount of wrapping around just to get into the queue in the Stay and Scream was pretty long.
Substantial.
That said, if you have Express, you'll move pretty quickly through it because people will split
Yeah.
off. But if you don't have Express, I would highly suggest to get in that queue early on in the night. And by that, I mean like at 4:30 when the Stay and Scream opens. So that way
Yeah.
you could get in, maybe, I don't know. We would do Stranger Things, but we would hit it very early in the evening before all of the people crowded in. It's a good house to go through, but I don't feel like using over an hour or close to 2 of my night waiting in line for it.
Usually there's like a pretty even split between what Stay and Scream you should do. And like a lot of times, like it's user preference of like, do we want to do Simpsons? Do we want to do New York? Usually those are the two major go-tos. Like, but this year, like if you're trying to get everything done, you got to go to New York, like Central Park. I know we'll the video coming out on Sunday might bear out something else, but I think you also muffed up. You're right. So
We have a challenge video coming
we
out on
challenge
Sunday.
video coming out on Sunday. So.
Stay tuned. Ben's editing it.
Yep.
It was a good challenge.
All right.
It was a good race of a challenge. So
Number 7.
Number 7, also possibly a debatable ranked house. Oh, you didn't do the superlative.
Oh, superlative. Most likely to have the longest wait time.
I don't think that's shocking for Stranger Things.
Nope.
Not at all. Hey, everyone that's
Hey,
joining us. Thank
everyone.
you for jumping
Thanks
in.
for coming.
Yeah.
We're talking about HHN ranking our houses.
Very curious. If you agree with us on where we put these rankings, go ahead and put it in the chat because I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. So
Number 7.
Number 7, again, something that people might disagree
Yeah.
with, but we chose The Last of Us
With the
in the number
superlative
7 spot.
being
The Last of Us superlative. Last of Us is most likely to get you on that very last jump scare.
Last of Us is one of those houses that HHN Creative loves. It's not over until it's over.
It's not. It's not. They did a really, really good job with this house. I specifically recall going through it one of the first times with Ben and him being like, oh my God, how'd they get those fungus in the air? Like, it is well themed. I think they did a good job with it. We like The Last of Us. We definitely were the ones to binge the show and then a little bit of the video game, watching it on YouTube over here of people playing it. So we are not the avid gamers, but it's a well-themed house.
It's a well-themed house. I think what made it even more creepy was when I went in there when it was still daylight out, and that house is dark.
It's
like
very
I'm
dark.
pretty sure I ran into the person in front of me
Mhm.
because I could not see a thing.
Benny Bob, I completely agree with your statement. It feels weird ranking the houses this year because I could switch spots with them. We argued for a while
long time.
on how
We
to
probably
split.
still don't agree, but
We had to just finally go, all right, let's decide
Yeah.
and see what we can agree on here, because it was not easy to pick a ranking for all of these. But
totally agree. Like the Travel and Foodie Warrior says, like it all depends on the timing and the scare actors.
Yeah.
You are 100%
Yeah.
right, and that is one of those things that we will absolutely say is you're going to have bad runs, you're going to have good runs. So if you can go through the houses multiple times, absolutely do so.
if we were to rank the houses as of just our like one solo
Mhm.
night, the rankings could be completely different. We had a bad run through monsters one time. Like it happens, but
In
the amount,
Oddfellow, all the scares hit you. I didn't get
yeah.
any scares in Oddfellow the first time.
So, I think that we kind of did this as a cumulative of all our
Mhm.
runs together, the scenes, the artistry, like it's really easy to move things around and be like, well, actually, you could convince me that that
Yeah,
one could go there.
absolutely.
So, um, The Last of Us, great house. We were a fan. Still a high wait time, but I think most of this season is going to be a very substantial wait time, particularly for Last of Us, particularly for Stranger Things, just because of how strong of an IP they both are.
Yep.
So,
Number 6.
number 6, if you guys don't notice us looking down, we definitely had to write the list down so we didn't forget it. Number 6 is Oddfellow.
Oddfellows, Carnival of Oddities.
Ben, tell us your thoughts on Oddfellow.
I didn't particularly care for Oddfellow. That was just my thought.
Yeah.
It didn't really hit home for me. Like the clowns were kind of creepy, but I don't know. It was a great house, like the great idea. I don't mean to sound like I'm a Debbie Downer about Oddfellow, but it was not the scariest for me. But it made you pee yourself. So there's that.
Just a little bit. I expected you to be so much more scared
did
of
too.
Oddfellow, and I ended up being absolutely frightened going through it. Now, hear me out. Clowns don't freak me out the way that they freak Ben out.
Mhm.
Like I don't mind them, but
It might have been that thing though that I put it on such a high pedestal and I had such
yeah,
a high expectation of it that
yeah.
the first run through and I was like, and everything hit you. I was like, okay.
I think the thing that gets me in Oddfellow is and you've heard me say this a time or two, but like they pack so much
Mhm.
stuff in that house. Not
Clutter.
scare actors, but
Clutter.
clutter. And I think I had a huge epiphany like night 2 or 3 of HHN that I was like, I'm not scared of clowns.
It's
I'm scared
chaos.
of hoarders.
Yeah.
I don't like that because you're looking all over. Like there's that
It's
one room where
chaos.
there's like stuffed animals
Yeah.
hanging down. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. And you just don't know where things are coming from because it's so busy. There's so much stuff. And I'm like, this needs to get cleaned up. A little OCD coming
Just
through.
a ton of stimulus in that house.
But I had some fantastic runs through Oddfellow. I got a large amount of scares. You didn't. So
Nope.
I think that's why we put it around number 6 on our list. And speaking of the reason I hate Oddfellows, let's talk about the superlative. Oddfellows is most likely to be on Hoarders Buried Alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, Oddfellow got no scares. Didn't even see Oddfellow once. Did it again, and it was way better. See, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it will entirely depend run to run.
I think if somebody just goes through the house once and that's all they live and die off of, that's like, it's not going to be a great judgment on that. Like, you got to do them 3 times. 3 times.
Jeremy went through a wall in Oddfellow.
Oh my
Shocker.
gosh. Why am I not surprised?
He almost destroyed a pew too.
Yeah.
That's funny. Pew too.
That was funny. He didn't even
I
mean
didn't
for
mean
it.
to do that. Number 5.
Number 5. This was a tough call.
Now the top 5 are very, very close. Actually, the top 4 are probably really close. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Number 1 was pretty cut and dry by the end, but
Very. Number 5 is Monsters Unmasked.
with the superlative being
Most creative scares. Congratulations on your award, Monsters
Mhm.
Unmasked. Most creative scares.
Monsters was one that I think I also hyped up a little bit based off the Legends Collide house last year and how good that house was.
Legends Collide was so good.
Now,
So good.
Monsters Unmasked was still very, very good. Very Phantom of the Opera heavy. Like that section was very good. They had some very creative scares, and then once you started getting into the Invisible Man, it was cool.
Yeah.
But that's where they started to lose me a little bit. And then because everything after Phantom of the Opera, it felt like it was very, very short in the
Mhm.
overall story. It was like 2 rooms per, and it was like, but
Maybe
Phantom had like almost felt like forever. It
6.
felt like forever.
Yeah. Also, I like the uh, jump scares in this house. I think that's why we felt it was most creative. We hadn't ever seen
We
a
didn't-
scare like
yeah.
that. And also the Invisible Man, just how they chose to do it was pretty neat. We were curious how they were going to play
Mhm.
that in. Was it the scariest of scenes? No, for not for me, but it got me. Like I still scream. Like it's still
I liked the ending of Universal Monsters.
Mhm.
That sort of culmination ending. They are like all coming at you at once, and it's like I don't know where to go. Like it's
Yeah.
dark. There's mirrors. I don't know where to go.
I think the biggest thing this year's monsters compared to last year's Legends Collide. One, I really like Legends Collide's story
Mhm.
better last year, and I just think the monsters from last year are just
Yeah,
scarier.
they're so
They're just
iconic.
so iconic and scary versus just like we learned in our Behind the Screams tour, or these monsters that we saw this year are a little bit more in the shadows, a little bit
Mhm.
more hidden. And I think because of that, like they're creepy, but they're not scary the way Mummy, Wolfman, Dracula,
It did have one of my favorite
missing
scares though
one,
with
but
that spinal rip.
the spinal rip was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah,
real cool.
that one got me. It's more like what
We're just
didn't
giving
get
you
me, right?
number 4.
Number 4, Dueling Dragons. Choose thy
Choose-
fate.
I think this was one that you loved.
It was good.
You loved this one. I think you like this one more than I did.
I would agree. I think this is one that Ben wanted to rank a little bit lower, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to rank a little bit higher, so we decided to put it at number 4. But Dueling Dragons, I think so. First off, I guess to start out with, Ben and I never got to ride Dueling Dragons as it was, or even when it was Dragon Challenge, and like we didn't get to. But we know the premise. We've seen so much of the background of it, and we just appreciate a good ode to a former ride. So like that already checked on like the good side of the
Mhm.
box for a creative house. And then on top of it, just as creative as they were, the story that's told, that first scene, seeing Merlin,
The Merlin Wood.
yeah, as a tree, like it was
It was cool.
artistic.
It was artistic, very artistic to the point of very similar to the Dead Man's Pier last year.
Mhm.
I probably would still put Dead Man's Pier above uh, Dueling Dragons in terms of the artistic creativeness, but still very creative.
Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake was prettier,
Mhm.
but Dueling Dragons was still very good.
There's some great scares too.
Mhm.
A lot of
The like
you just don't see them
troll
coming.
ogres
Yeah, you
that
just
came
never
out
see
at
'em
you had
coming.
no thought about seeing that coming in. So those caught me off guard. Thought it was excellent. And then the fact that you get to pick your
Your-
fate, choose your fate. I really enjoy that. I think it's
Mhm.
unique. And I like that they get a switch, how's it going to end for this night? What's that going to look like? Because then you get to like talk to your Scream squad and be like,
Mhm.
oh my God, did you see Merlin? Was he holding his head? What was happening?
Yeah,
Like,
and that was one thing that I wanted to bring up was like, did you choose correctly? And like, I think a lot of people don't know that there is, I guess, a correct answer or like choosing correctly. Because if you see Merlin, you chose correctly. If you see the
dragon.
High Rock or Blizzrock
Blizzrock.
holding Merlin's head, well,
I mean,
I guess
that is in like the eye of the beholder. Maybe
yeah,
you
maybe you
wanted
want High
Merlin
Rock or
to
Blizzrock
live,
to win.
like maybe you wanted your dragon, your wizard, warlock. By the way, we looked up the difference
Yeah.
between a wizard and a warlock. There's a difference. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody that's
Thanks
joining
for
us.
joining
We are
us.
ranking our houses from HHN as well as offering some insights and
Mhm.
little nuggets that help you out.
So Dueling Dragons number 4, the superlative we chose for this, I think I already said it on accident, but most artistic house.
Most artistic.
Yes. Merlin's head and claws. Yeah, the scene walking in, seeing those giant dragon
giant
heads. And then of course you're looking up here, so the scares are
scare,
coming
yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
Universal Creative knows how to get you to look one way and then comes at you from another. It's very well
Mhm.
done. Very well done.
Number 3.
You say number 3.
Number 3 for us was a bit of a sleeper. We didn't have high hopes going in with it, just based off the podcast, based off what we had heard for the rumors, and it was the darkest deal.
We didn't really enjoy the podcast very much. We enjoy a lot of the podcasts, but that one in particular, I think we finished it. I was like, I half listened. Like, we kind of just had very low expectations. Meh. Okay. It like we kind of thought it was going to be like Hellblock Horror last year. One of those
level,
that they didn't really have a lot of time for it. They're like, here's something to throw together. We've been busy with Stranger Things and Last of Us. And we went through Darkest Deal for the first time. Oh my goodness. Like, it was an intense house. It got me. And I don't even think we got all the scares. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a great storyline. There are some really good scares. Who puts somebody in a piano? Like, that's all I think about. It's just like, who puts a scare actor in the piano? Like, that's so messed up on so many levels. Like, I just wanted to be a fly on the wall for that meeting, being like, hey, Steve, what if we put somebody in a piano? You're crazy, and I love it.
You're crazy. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Right? But
we got a question about Stranger Things. We already covered Stranger Things, but Stranger Things
was lower on our list.
Stranger Things was lower on the list, but real quick recap. Stranger Things is a great house. Vecna's story. It's going to be the longest wait that you're going to have all night at Halloween Horror Nights, minus maybe some food. But
if it's the top house that you want to do it first.
Do it first. Do it from the New York Stay and Scream if you can, if you have Stay and Scream, because that will be. But if you like Stranger Things, you're going to love the house.
Yeah. So back to Darkest Deal. Like, storyline, great. Theming, great. Like,
it was probably one of our most consistent houses too.
We had that at the top of our list for quite a few days. I think we kind of just settled in with the house of like, this is a really good house. Is it a great house though? But it was consistent. Like, I don't think I had a bad run through Darkest Deal. There might have been one time where we're like, oh man, no piano scare. Just missed that. But why is my shirt flipping all over today? I don't know. But Darkest Deal, solid house, very good. And their superlative is
best told storyline.
Yeah.
It just kind of made sense. Like, it was a very linear story.
Don't sell your soul to the devil, guys.
Sell your soul to the devil.
Easy enough, right? Like,
sounds like a bad idea.
But don't you find that curious that like the house was the best told storyline in our opinion, and yet the podcast was like, because a podcast is a story. I don't know. It didn't. Don't judge it by the podcast.
Don't judge
go
it
and do the house
on
it as is. You know,
it'll be good.
All right, number 2. We only have 2 houses left. What is the number 2 ranked house?
Blood Moon.
Blood Moon was solid. Like, Blood Moon started here for me, and it only went up as we went through it. Now, Blood Moon was made by the same creator who designed the set for Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake last year. And so as you walk through it,
Kevin,
you get a little bit of the vibes of the same setup like that. You're seeing, you're going through this, what do you call it? Town. Yeah, you're going through the town. You've got the big tolling bell. It gave me, if you were to take the witches from Spirits of the Coven, trying to kill people, meets the townspeople chasing you in El Chup last year. La Chup? I don't know. And then you mix it with the setup of Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake, and then you throw pumpkins at it.
Yeah, pumpkins.
That's Blood Moon.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's Blood Moon. And little kids.
There are some great scares. Very, very creepy. Our superlative for it, most statue scares. They did a really good job keeping this house engaging
but also adding in those statue scares, which you think like if you see those not over and over, but a
Mhm.
couple scenes, you're like,
Doesn't
come
matter.
on, we've seen it already.
Doesn't matter. Makes it
No,
worse.
they still did a great job with it. Like, you don't know which one's real, you don't know which one's gonna jump at you, and you're not ready for it. You
Mhm.
know it's gonna come, but you're just never
You're
ready
never
for
ready.
it. And so, very well done. And if you can go through that house as many times as
Oh,
possible,
100%.
you'll just see something
something
new
every
almost every
single
single time. And one of my favorites is the cathedral, the church
Church.
scene. When you walk in, you're not going to look at it, but directly in front of you, you're going to see their like,
Concoction.
yeah,
Formula.
their not potion. I don't know, the spell that
Yeah.
they're trying to cast. It's very intriguing.
Mhm.
But if you don't take the time to go through it a number of times, you'll get distracted because
I
there's
don't
creepy
think I
things
ever
to
saw it
scare
while I
you.
was going through the house.
Well, that was one of the worst
Never
scenes to
did.
walk through. So
And finally,
our number one ranked house. If you've been paying attention this whole time, you probably know what it is by now.
it was pretty much the last one announced too.
Was it?
Because that announced with the group. But
Hmm.
Exorcist, the Believer,
Or
Mother,
the body and the blood.
the Body and the Blood.
Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it.
I think I have
Mm.
PTSD from that house.
Mm.
Honestly, I agree. I'm not going to give much away for this one because that one was solid. It was It was definitely the creepiest house of the year.
It was creepiest. It was one I know we were a little like, well, we haven't seen this movie yet. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, what are we gonna think? I kind of appreciate that we haven't seen the movie yet and did the house first, and then now I'm just that much more pumped to watch the movie.
Mhm.
It made me excited for the movie. I wonder how much more interesting the movie will be for me now, just based off of that
Yep.
house. But like, it is a very well done house, but it starts out a little funky, and then you go through it and you're like, "Oh my god, what's happening
Yeah.
here?"
It was one of those that brought a lot of elements together. Like as soon as you walk in, it just stinks.
Yeah,
And then the smell just gets worse and worse and worse.
Like, I think I mentioned during one of the earlier houses, not during this, but while we were there, I was like, "Yeah, they're not hitting you with too many of the
Mhm.
smells this year." No, they saved them all for Exorcist. Because they're there. And like, I don't know what that first smell is, but I swear there are times walking around the house right now, I'm like, oh my God, I smell it still.
Mother.
Like, but solid scares,
Very solid scares.
very well like formatted
Mhm.
staging on how you walk through this
Very
thing.
unique, yeah.
Very unique. I just keep thinking about going through the house with Jeremy and Danny and just going around.
Going around trying to go through walls.
But
It's great.
the house is frightening. And it is one, I think we only did it when it was dark out once, maybe twice. But it was one of those houses where I was like, I'd rather do it in the daytime. I'd rather do it at the daytime.
Your heart rate
because
will always be up leaving that house.
yeah, I don't think that the trailer for the movie does this house justice. I think the house is a better trailer than the
Yeah.
actual trailer is, which is shocking because I remember watching the trailer
Mhm.
before we went and going, this is something. So, like, it was good.
Mhm.
It was good. One thing I do want to point out is I appreciate Universal for being, I guess I'll say, just protective of the
Yeah.
house because they did a good job at just keeping an eye on people
Mhm.
from spoiling it.
Yep.
Spoiling the house,
The
spoiling the
fun, yeah.
movie. When Ben walked through with his big camera on, which we keep on his shoulder right here, and it's off, it's not in use. But when they saw that, they definitely were a shadow
Mhm.
on us throughout the house. They had somebody step in and follow, and I think that was a solid call. Like, I appreciate that they care that much because I think the movie's going to be excellent, and I don't want people that would spoil it to do that.
Mhm.
So thanks, Universal.
Some things that we
Superlative
learned.
first,
sorry.
and then you can
Superlative.
tell people other fun stuff.
Worst smelling house,
Shocking.
but
And the most likely to need a change of pants afterwards.
poop yourself just a little bit.
Probably. Or just the smell on you.
Yeah,
Who
just
knows?
the poop smell. But And so we're going to go into some of the things that we either learned or things that we think are important for people that, if this is, you're still going to Halloween Horror Nights this year, things to consider as you plan your adventure or while you're down there.
Apologies if you're at it right now and you're missing out on this.
So I think the first one that I think for the planning purposes, if you're only there for one day, we already kind of talked about it, but you have Stay and Scream. I think the New York Stay and Scream is the way to go.
Or if you have the money, do an RIP tour.
Yeah.
We talked about it during our trip there and said, you know what? If we only had one night, that is probably worth it. You get to go through every house. You get to go to the Nightmare Fuel show. You're jumping the lines. You're getting through it, and you're not exhausting yourself all night long. Like, it'll take a while to do all of it, but it's not from like 4 till 2, right? But certainly not everybody has the cash to be able to do that. Yep. We don't want to spend the money to do that when we're there for multiple days. So if you can, you should go to Stay and Scream. And this, as much as Ben says the New York one's the way to go, I will agree with that, specifically if you want Stranger Things. Yep. If you don't care about Stranger Things, like, there are other options. You can get a lot done. But if you want to see the Stranger Things house, and it is a must do, hit that one up first, because the rest of the night you're automatically probably at least a 60-minute wait, probably closer to 120-minute wait.
Real quick, are any chance we're coming back in October? I keep trying to talk Ob into it. It's going to be tight. If we make it down there, it's going to be a quick weekend trip.
We'll drive down on like a Friday, be there on Saturday.
And come back Sunday, which is fine. We like, if anything. So one thing from a personal level, like, this isn't like the community that we met down there, that we had fun, like, that would be the reason that we went back down there.
Yeah, I absolutely love the houses, but we're not there for the houses. We're there to hang out with people.
We're there to hang out with people, see people, go through houses with people. Like, that is what absolutely made our trip this time, was meeting people, going through houses with people, going to shows with people, going to see Death Eaters. Like, we absolutely loved that portion of our trip.
That was the best part.
It was the best part.
That was, can I rank that as number 0 on our top 10 list?
Yeah.
That was literally hanging out. There was a lot of people to meet up with. And so it was a little bit of a maze going from like, oh, we're in the back of the park after Nightmare Fuel, but we need to go meet up at Exorcist. And then we've got this other thing going on over in Diagon. Like, but I would prefer to go to the park and spend time seeing people, going through houses together, going to shows together, just talking and seeing everyone in person. I like the houses, but I like spending time with the people a lot more.
Like, to include all the team members. Like, the team members are great. All the performers are great. We love supporting the team members and the performers. Like,
Nightmare Fuel's an excellent show.
Nightmare Fuel's an excellent. We'll go over that in detail, but like, excellent show. But yeah, I mean, the people made Halloween Horror Nights, and the people will still make Halloween Horror Nights.
So if we go, it's not for the houses. It's actually to see all of y'all.
100%.
And if we don't go, it's not because we don't want to see.
If we don't go, it's because we have 0 time.
It's because life actually got in the way.
We don't do this full time. So ideally we can in the future, but like, it's one of those things. It's like, life happens. She works, I work.
Someday we'll live a lot closer.
A 6-hour drive there and a 6-hour drive back. Like, it's not an easy feat.
Okay. What other tips do we have for people? Can kind of distill some of our HHN pro tips into this for people that are interested in making sure that they get the most of their night.
Strap in, because you're going to get a pro tip right here. Strap in. When planning for the weather, there are day lockers.
Yeah.
At the front of the parks that you can rent for $5, right?
Bring an extra set of clothes if it's going to rain.
And rent that day locker out.
It's $5.
It's $5. You put your extra set of clothes in there. And so when it rains, and then it inevitably stops because it's Central Florida, it's not going to rain all night.
Yep.
You go up to that day locker, and you grab your change of clothes, go to the restroom and change your clothes, and you never had to leave the park.
Mm-hmm. Or say that you just get the urge to buy all the merch that evening in the tribute store and you don't want to carry it through the houses. Spend the $5 and put it in the locker. Like rent the day lockers up front. On night one, I left after holding our spot in line and getting absolutely drenched. Like had to change shoes. I was walking in puddles. I told Ben, I am too cold to go through air conditioned houses. I can't handle that. And so he went and tried to film the opening ceremonies, which didn't happen, but that's all right. And since I knew the chances were slim it was going to happen and I wasn't going to miss anything, I scooted my butt back to the hotel, changed my clothes, got back, and I got back to the arches at the time that things started opening, but I still didn't get in until about 7:15, 7:30.
Always plan for the weather.
Yeah.
Take a look. It's Central Florida in the early fall, late summer, early fall. Like it's probably going to rain, and there are going to be times where it rains.
Had we thought about using those day lockers for that purpose, I would have brought. Yeah. We would have brought 2 pair and just used that and changed, and then we would have never had to leave the park, and we could have started our night a lot earlier.
A couple of notes about the stay-in screens. So the big ones that everybody always really talks about are New York and Central Park. Richter Burger is great because you can sit in Richter Burger in San Francisco and get all the AC you want. Mm-hmm. Central Park, the holding area is in the sun.
It is in the sun. Bring an umbrella.
Bring an umbrella. Simply, like, 1, bring an umbrella because it's probably going to rain. 2, bring an umbrella for the shade because it was brutally hot in the sun in Central Park. Yeah. Brutally hot. Bring water. Yeah. Bring an umbrella for some shade because if you get there at 4:30 from Central Park, you're going to be sitting there for over an hour. And I questioned what I was doing for a while.
I'm so glad I lucked out and didn't get that spot.
Yeah, you would have been. Your stasis would have been just all over the place.
Christine says that I know I want to go in October, by the way, which I do want to go.
Yeah, we all if we could go every day, we would. And I guess this is a great segue for Nightmare Fuel. If we could go every day for Nightmare Fuel, we'd go. I would 100% go.
Do you see my face just now?
I'd go every day.
I would need to nap during the day and sleep at night. Yeah. Sleep during the day. Nightmare Fuel.
Great.
If you
have to go.
Yeah, I don't even know. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Just go to Nightmare Fuel. It's an absolutely excellent show.
It was good.
I guess I'd say if you're easily offended by sexy dancing, don't go. But
not for you.
But I don't think many people that go to HHN would be offended by that.
By this point, you probably already know what Nightmare Fuel is. I know there's some people that aren't. Check out Unfriendly Heroes video from last year. I'm sure he's going to post a video again this year.
I hope so.
But
the dancing is great. The music is great. The acrobatics, I think that's the best way to call it. Phenomenal. The fire, always good.
It's always great.
So we had a blast going to it. I think of all the nights we went, we ended up going 4, maybe 5 times to the show. Which
Cole, just for a note, they're real this year. There's no more painted on abs this year.
Last year we did have a nice chuckle at the amount of contoured abs. This year, all of them are there. There's no contouring going on.
Moose is shredded up.
Moose is shredded up. Luke is shredded up.
Benji's shredded up.
Well, Benji's always been shredded up, but the Fuel girls, shredded. It is a very well done show. Personally, we liked going on every night. Saturday is when our friend Benji, the Nightmare Queen, does not perform. So Saturday's still good, but it wasn't our favorite as the rest of the nights. But everyone's got to take a day off, right? So I can't blame her.
I can't imagine doing that show 4 or 5 times a night.
I can't imagine the way that they hold themselves on the rings and stuff. So question for you. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite scare zone and why?
My favorite scare zone, pretty much from day one, was Zodiac, which was shocking. I expected one Zodiac to be like the Zodiac show that was in Singapore.
Very
It
different.
kind of was like in terms of the costuming. Like,
Yes, but it wasn't a
similar.
show.
It wasn't a show. But the lighting, the costumes were absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
That was where they also had a ton of stilt walkers. Usually, yeah, they had some in pretty much every scare zone had stilt walkers.
I missed them in Vamp 69. I think I saw them
Yeah, I don't
once.
think they really did have them.
I think they had them one night, but maybe I'm imagining that.
But Zodiac was definitely my favorite.
Mhm. Which is interesting. I thought you were gonna like Jungle the most,
So
and
did
then
I.
we went to Jungle. We're like,
It's fine.
it's okay. I think we just loved
we just
last year's.
We loved last year's
Scarecrow area. Yeah,
Um,
but okay, that's fair.
and which one did you like?
Zodiac grew on me quite a bit. And I really liked the music in Vamp 69.
Mhm.
I kind of knew I would like the music. When you're walking
party.
down, when you're walking down the road in New York and everybody is singing Sweet Caroline
And a
all
conga
together,
line.
and there's a conga line going around like a tie-dye bug. You just have to smile and be like, this is
HHN.
absolute.
This is great.
It was more like a party in that scare zone than it was scary. So that I think that's why I liked it. But my favorite was Shipwreck. I like the theming. It was unique. It was open, but that area of the park still gets a little bit more congested than the other sections. But I still think they did a good job.
My favorite scare was in Shipwreck. From a scare zone perspective was in Shipwreck. But.
I think Shipwreck felt. I don't feel like any of the scare zones were as scary as last year's, but I think Shipwreck was, in my opinion, one of the scarier ones. And I just thought it was really cool with the the story behind it of Dr. Oddfell's collected all these things, but then now they've escaped, and I think they did a really good job portraying that.
And the one thing, an additional thing that was not there last year, but it is this year. Death Eaters.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Eaters bring it.
Yeah, the
Death Eaters are
really
awesome.
Good.
Awesome in Diagon. So, for those that are going, happens virtually every 30 minutes. Each show is about 20 minutes long, and there's about a 10-minute reset period. And it's usually like every half hour or on the hour. Those Death Eaters bring it.
They are sassy. They are.
Sassy.
I also believe that if you don't have an HHN ticket, there are a couple times where they come out outside of Diagon at about 4 and 4:30 if you want to see them, and they're just out front by like the night bus area. I know there had been a number of people that were like, hey, I'm not planning on going to HHN, but I really like to see them. They're worth seeing. They're worth seeing. And particularly, I think my favorite time to see the Death Eaters, we're giving it away, is 6, when you can get to Diagon. We walked in and it was completely empty.
That's what I was gonna say. Was like it gets busy at night.
It's beautiful at night. It's cool to see them do their thing at night because of the lighting effects and the fog and all of that. But like to walk in Diagon after the parks have been cleared and to be some of the first people in there, and you're seeing the dragon and it's empty, and then all of a sudden Death Eaters are starting to come out.
You're gonna get some great pictures and some great interactions.
Yeah, it is. It's something you just don't get to experience on your typical day at Universal. And so I'd say that is more worth it to me to do that. And then you can hang out and see them interact with people when it's dark out. That's fun.
Spend some time in Nocturne Alley too, because they do go through Nocturne, and that just sets the stage even more of like Death Eaters and Nocturne. Like, what's a more fitting thing?
Now, here's something to think about when it comes to interacting with the Death Eaters: is you can go and get a dark mark fake tattoo or real if you're feeling crazy, and they will engage with you. They'll interact with you, but you're not going to duel them because you are also a Death Eater. So if you want to duel a Death Eater, make sure you don't have that dark mark and have a wand with you and be ready. they tend to duel the kids a little bit more. I will be honest there, but it's pretty fun to see. It's just fun to interact with them. And again, the sass that they have, like they are sassy
Pageant
AF,
walk.
and it is fun. It is. I just like. I think that they have to only have Death Eaters around Halloween time, around HHN time to keep kind of the spirit. But it's also one of those things I'm like, oh, if they had them all the time, I'd love it. Like, it just makes it that much more special that it's only during that one period of the year. But I wouldn't be mad.
Was there any foods that you think are must tries?
We ate a lot of them.
We ate a lot of food.
Must try foods. If you've never had pizza fries at HHN,
Classic.
it's a classic.
Got
You
it.
have to have pizza fries. It's like a staple,
Yeah.
you know?
You have to.
But of the alternatively themed, like specific to this year food, I really enjoyed the Hellfire Club.
That was good.
It was very good. A lot of meat on it too, which I
Mhm.
appreciated, and a lot of cheese. Big fan. The Surfer Boy pizza, the Hawaiian pizza, was well done. I expected it to be just a little more bland and meh.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Ooh.
For a pizza. It was well done. It tasted good. It was creamy. It was nice, and that French bread was not hard.
Mhm.
Like I was expecting stale,
Yeah,
like
stale or overbaked or something.
it wasn't. It was really, really good. The Surfer Boy punch for a boozy drink, that was delicious as well. I think I liked that better than my zombie shark, to be honest.
Whoa.
Yeah. Forgetting one. The duck and butternut squash galette. Possibly the top of my list. If you like a pastry crust, if you like a nice rich meat, would you say rich? Tender, rich, moist.
Flavorful.
Ben said it best in our video is that like it tastes like you're eating Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And it actually does. And it just is it's like it doesn't feel like a park food.
No.
And yet it was really good.
I could do without the crunchy pearls, but
yeah, it doesn't need the pearls on it. One food that we didn't get but smelled amazing, and I probably would get it if we
Churro.
went back. A churro? Yeah, always. The walking taco.
Yep.
But I also, one of the reasons I guess I stayed away from the walking taco is because I'm like, we could make that at home. So,
not at HHN walking taco.
No, it doesn't have like a fog on it.
Yeah, it doesn't have fog flavor on
it. How did you feel about the seasonal themed milkshake we had at Toothsome?
It was really good. I'm not a huge caramel fan, and if you like caramel, there's a lot in it. The apple pie chunks were delicious.
Mm-hmm.
My only gripe about that milkshake is it is $21.
And we didn't even keep the souvenir cup.
It's $21. All the other milkshakes are like 12 or 13. Like I get it. Like you had to put in like extra money into like the HHN cup, but it's $21. Come on.
We should have kept the cup.
Should have kept the cup, honestly.
I had another question for you. Oh, tell them about our experience with the rotting pumpkin that we tried.
Oh, well, one, I was trying to be a great husband, so kudos to me, I guess. But I was sitting out in the rain, and so I was like, I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to get her a rotting pumpkin. That's something she wanted to try.
Which is funny to say if nobody has context around it. I would get my wife a rotting pumpkin.
And so like I went into Today Cafe, I was like, I'm going to get her a rotting pumpkin. It would be nice. And you take it out there, and then it's like eating a rotting pumpkin, which is really strange. It was just,
but it tasted lovely.
Amazing. It was like pumpkin spice and everything nice, but
it had
that
the texture
of a rotting pumpkin. I could not like. It was black, so you expected a nice, like crispy, hard shell. Nope.
It was like somebody took a pumpkin pie and put it into this pumpkin mold, and it held really well. As well as, again, like Ben said, it was black, as a rotting pumpkin would be. But then imagine taking a bite of just the middle of a pumpkin pie, no crust.
If you're a
Um,
tactile person and you want some tactile feedback like me,
I think
no,
both of us, when we took our bites of it, like we almost spit it out just because we were just like,
you,
oh,
you can just gum it down. You know,
like, yeah.
take your dentures out. You ain't need 'em.
It's true though. So I guess very well themed.
Tasted great.
It looked the part. It had the texture of a rotting pumpkin and it tasted delicious. But we are both very into like
Textures.
textures have to be quite right, and that one caught us off guard.
Mm.
So well done, Universal. Well done.
The only other one that I want to hit on because it looks so good, it's so grammable, was the Blutter Burger.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It's very sweet. It's not what you expect out of a burger, which is okay. If you're gonna get it, get napkins. It's sticky.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
sticky. How they get that burnt sort of look on it is probably just like a syrupy sugar, and they throw it on the grill and it kind of crystallizes and burns.
That's true. A couple tips that I do want to point out for people that are going and they really want to get some food there. If you are interested in getting anything from the Fedra rations
Good point.
or the
Good point.
Chucky food truck,
Busy.
even if you go early, particularly the Fedra one, is
Busy.
a long line. There were actually a couple foods there, one that was like a scotcheroo, one that was a boozy coffee drink, and one that was it was Yuri's something. It was a peanut butter mousse. All things that sound right up my alley. Oh no, I'm mixing that one up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yuri is Stranger Things.
Yuri is Stranger
Anyway,
Things, yeah.
there is a coffee, liqueur drink, and a scotcheroo bar at the Fedras area, and I wanted to try them, but we didn't go.
That
The-
line goes all the way back. in
The
Sting
line
Alley.
was very long. You actually queue up for that line on the basically where the exit of Sting Alley was last year. Instead of going in from the New York area, you come in the other direction.
By Transformers.
And I think the line was down to Transformers at that
Okay,
point,
easy.
actually. It was very long. We're like, we've had a lot of different foods. There's still more to go try. So if you do have the Fedra ration bar, or if you have the coffee drink, or if you make it over to Stranger Things and have Yuri's peanut butter, whatever, which looked adorable, let me know, because I wanted to try those. I didn't.
Guess we got to go back. Christine, we're going back. You know, we got to try more food.
Chucky's also had a very long line as well as the night got
Busier.
Like we could have stopped there, we just didn't, and I wasn't gonna wait in line by the time we got back around to it. So
Nick, thank you for tuning in. It's great to have
thanks,
you here.
Nick. Welcome. Do you guys have any
What
questions
you guys
that
have?
you want to ask us about stuff? We've been ranting now for almost an hour. So if you guys have anything in particular that you're like, hey, what about this at HHN, or I want to do that, or any recommendations that you'd like to know about, let us know. We'll hang out for a little bit and answer any
got
questions
one.
that come up.
AC, because AC is always needed because stasis. It's hot. It's Florida. It's still late summer. Don't let anybody fool you. It's still going to be hot. If you need AC, the arcade's always open. It's got great AC.
It means you're going to be in the New York State Scream.
2, Men in Black will be open. The AC in Men in Black is probably the best AC in the park.
Yeah.
How Diagon Alley stays so cool, I have no idea, but it always does. Probably because all
Mhm.
those shops are just always constantly opening and closing. But Diagon Alley is always a nice little refreshing AC hit.
It's substantially cooler in Diagon Alley than it is on like just regular park area. It's impressive.
It's impressive.
Nick has a question.
Would we ever come to HHN in Hollywood? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a matter of timing. It's a matter of getting out there. We live in South Georgia. So getting to HHN out in Hollywood, we would absolutely love to. Maybe that's something that we put on the calendar for next year. If we do an extended kind of time off work, but we'll see.
What we might have to decide is, because we normally for HHN season take a week and we go spend a week at Universal in Orlando. If we do HHN Hollywood, which I'm not opposed
I
to,
think it'd be great.
it would probably be like we go and do HHN in Universal Orlando, pop over to
Pop over
Hollywood,
for
and
a
then
few
go
days
home and have to split that week up. Not the worst thing in the world. Biggest thing is somebody's got to watch our fur babies.
we
you
got-
know?
I think that's the biggest thing for even getting down, like we said in October, is like the coordination piece of we got fur babies to take care of, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's always key. Like, but
Well, I think
definitely-
eventually, if we eventually live closer, aka in Florida,
In
it'll be easier for us to pop on in,
100%.
go and visit, hang out with people, and then also be able to plan those trips over to Hollywood or Universal Japan. But
that's the long term. Long term is to get over to Universal Japan,
Yeah.
and Beijing, because
Yes,
both
yes.
of those parks look incredible.
Looks so good. So, any other questions? Any other things you guys want to know?
What do you guys think of our new backdrop?
We worked really hard on it.
We need more stuff. It looks like.
Ben, you're blocking little Boo up here. Yep. We got him when we went to HHN. Adorable. They sell them all over, but specifically we got him in the Halloween boutique.
Tribute store. Sorry, Tribute store is very interesting this year.
It has a lot to
There's a
take
lot going
in.
on. A lot going on. We'll have a video out next week about it.
We'll have a video out here soon. Do 2 laps through the Tribute store. Oh, thanks, Cole. Ben
Etsy.
picked that out on Etsy. Do 2 laps through the Tribute store. One for your merch search of like, what do I want to buy?
Mhm.
And then the second one for like, I want to look at all of the
it all
comics
in.
and take every room in and see what is this Tribute store? How is it really themed? It was fun spending the time doing that and going through twice and literally just being like, I'm going to buy that, but I'm going to take this room in and understand the comics. And the comics, depending on your sense of humor, are funny. The first room was my favorite.
It was a great tribute store. The fun little stories throughout were
Yeah.
a nice little touch.
Do we think this year is better than last year?
Ooh, so this is great. That's a great question. It's a great loaded question. It's a hard question to ask. So, but it always comes up. We thought the best houses last year. So for us, it was like Legends, Dead Man's Pier were probably the 2 that really separated themselves for us last year.
Yes.
They would still probably be our top houses if you combined last year's houses and this year's houses.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think-
tough question.
But I think the houses ranking from top to bottom this year were much tighter because there were clear ones last year that we were like one and done with. We're like Hell Block, done. Once, good enough.
Mhm.
Spirits of the Coven. I know people love Spirits of the Coven. We weren't those people. We were just kind of like one and done. Like besides Chucky, none of the houses this year were like one and dones. And even
No.
Chucky wasn't even a one and done.
This year's houses, we went through each of them.
A few
3
times. Yeah,
times,
at least
4
3 times.
times.
3 or 4
Like
times, yeah.
it was easy to want to keep going through them. Even for as long of waits as they have this year. I do agree that Monsters and Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake from
Mhm.
last year, I still might put those
Yeah.
above Exorcist.
Mhm.
Solely from our great runs through Monsters last year and the artistry, like how
Mhm.
good that house was of Dead Man's Pier. But Exorcist is right on their toes.
Mhm.
Like it's right up there. And then what's interesting for me on that is like Blood Moon through Stranger Things, like
Yeah.
literally the following
The
houses are all
following
like
just like
right next to it behind Exorcist versus last year. What was the one where you went into the subway?
Descendants of
Descendants of
Destruction.
Destruction. Descendants would fall somewhere, I'd say,
Somewhere in
within the
the
top
middle.
5
Yeah.
here. Like, and Descendants was good.
Yeah.
So that's a tough question. I do think about the scare zones. This year in particular, I loved the story of Oddfellow within each of the scare zones. I really, really liked that about it. comparatively to last year's scare zones, I fell in love with last year's scare zones a
Mhm.
little bit more, where I could spend time just literally like watching everything in most of last year's scare zones. I had some that weren't as like I would take Mr. Sweets and I would swap Mr. Sweet. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but that
Major
and
Sweets.
Major Sweets. There we go. And Vamp 69. I enjoyed Vamp 69 more than I enjoyed Major Sweets last year.
But I think that was so like each individual scare zone last year like was its own standalone story as opposed to this year, like August said.
Correct.
So like
Yeah.
you have to go around to each and every one to get the complete story, which is a really fun thing to go see all the details.
Okay, here's a fun question. And you guys can tell us your thoughts well in the comments here. Who was a better icon? Oddfellow or the Pumpkin Lord?
That's a good debate. But so for the question, did they have Death Eaters last year? Yes, they had them. They were over in Hogsmeade, so in Islands of Adventure. This year they're at Diagon Alley, so they're a part of HHN.
Yeah.
And sometimes prior to HHN, but they're a part of studios now this year.
The Death Eaters are so good.
Yeah, so good.
So, we didn't run into the Megan Horde like at all.
Unless you know somebody on the team or hit up Aloha Jax. Aloha Jax knows all.
Shout out to Aloha.
Shout out to Aloha. He knows everything.
He really does.
Him and Unfriendly Hero know everything. And everyone.
What else do we have here? There was a lot of merch this year. A lot. And a lot of good merch too.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of hard to pick. You should have worn your shirt. Did you ever wear the shirt that I got you on any of the
I haven't
nights?
washed it yet. I'm one of those weird people that has to wash things before I wear them. Like, have to.
I'd literally throw it on the minute I buy it.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, I don't
it's too
care who else
scratchy.
has touched
Too
it.
scratchy. Yep,
Although
I agree with
because the
Christine
Pumpkin
because
Lord-
it's like the Pumpkin Lord didn't move, and that was one of the digs that I had against the Pumpkin Lord was like it was cool that he was there and it was a good icon, but I
Mhm.
love the fact that Oddfellow, Jack, anybody can move around the parks
Mhm.
and scare you from every which way. Like
Yeah.
that's you never know where they're at, and now suddenly he's behind you, and you're just like, oh, how'd he get there? Like.
I would agree. I think I appreciated Oddfellow as the icon this year better than I appreciated. The Pumpkin Lord was cool to look at. And then from there I was like,
Mhm.
all right. But I like the story with Oddfellow. I think it was well done. I thought he was interesting. I like that he can move around. And I like that he is the one manipulating things behind the scenes. I think
He's the one causing all of it.
plays. Also, you're not the only one that has to wash their shirt first.
Oddfellow every scare zone this year. The only one that I question is in Shipyard 32. We probably saw him in
Yeah.
Shipyard 32. I don't think he was as evident as in some of the other scare zones, but all the other scare zones, we definitely saw him. But
Yeah.
Shipyard 32, I question, was that Oddfellow? I don't really know.
We were
Was it
asking
just
ourselves that
Oddfellow's
before we
sign?
started this live. We were talking about it a little bit with someone,
Mhm.
and my favorite scare actor was in Shipyard 32, and it was the older man that was just carrying a giant wrench standing there looking scared. I want to be that scare actor. It wasn't Oddfellow though. He was like, Ben, do you think that was him? He's like, no, that's not him.
Could be. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, Kev, straight off the rack. You can wear those shirts right away. It's
Nope.
okay. It's
Mm-mm.
completely fine.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Did we miss anything? Like, HHN's huge. It's so fun. Like,
Who still has to go? Who wants to go back with us?
and do you want a Blinky Cup?
Do you need a Blinky Cup? Yeah, the answer is yes to the Blinky Cup. You need a Blinky Cup.
It is. Stayed the entire day at the parks until HHN closed at 2 a.m.
Yes. In fact, we did it this trip where
Mm-hmm.
you do EPA, and so we were in line for EPA at 7 a.m. to get into the parks.
Yeah.
And yes, we take a break. We will inevitably take a break. I wouldn't say we spent
I think we did
literally
that
the
last
entire
year.
day.
I think we did that last year, and we were
in the parks from EPA till basically the close of HHN. Like you're talking 40,000
At
plus
least.
steps.
Yeah.
Like,
It was a lot. We don't recommend being in the park all day like that,
no,
just
don't.
from how you'll
You
feel
won't
the
enjoy
next
it.
day, from how you'll feel partway through the day. Like, it is a lot. It is a lot. I also want to be a Death Eater too, Jody. Like, they just look like they have so much fun. Someone walked past me at work smelling like Royal Pacific, and I was like, ooh.
Let's go back.
I do appreciate that about the hotels.
How many steps do we
Complete that week?
That week is hard. You're talking for
Let
us.
me math it out. Give me 1 second. I had my Garmin on all week.
We're probably talking about 30,000 steps a day.
So last year for our full week, I would say we did a lot more when we went to HHN because we just didn't understand how much we'd be going. By day 4, we were dying. It was rough. This year, for our full week of being there, we had one rest day where we didn't bring our cameras out. We went to Disney Springs. What? I've always wanted
Gideon's.
I've always wanted Gideon's cookies, so we went and did that. But like, I took a nap that day. Like, we took some extra downtime to be able to get through the week, knowing that we would have some 2 a.m. AM, not PM, 2 a.m. nights followed by an EPA morning. And so instead of about 30 to 40,000 steps a day like we did last year, it was more like 26 to 30,000 steps.
We most days when we would do HHN, we would not wake up for EPA. Last year we absolutely did.
Yeah.
182,000
steps roughly
for the week.
And that's on the light end of what we did.
Yeah. But that's what we
Focus.
like. We honestly, like, I don't think we'd have it any other way. Like, we might complain that we're tired, but we absolutely also love burning it down and maximizing the fun that we have. Like, the idea that, like, just like we said earlier, like, hanging out with everybody, like, we will make time. Like, we will figure it out. Like, because a lot of times it's like we're hanging out with one group and they're like, all right, well, we got to go hang out with this. Like, we'll make it happen. It might be 2 a.m. when we're going through a house, but we will make it happen. Like, if you guys want to go through a house with us or go on something with us, like, while we're at the parks, like, we're going to make it happen.
Ben, what was your favorite? We already talked a little bit about HHN food, but what was your favorite food that you had?
Fried Oreos, duh.
That's really your pick.
They're pretty good. I'm not going to complain. Who's going to complain about a deep fried Oreo?
Battered, or they were chocolatier than I expected.
They were delicious. That is what they were. They were little heavenly bite-sized nuggets.
I think that mine is a tie between the duck and butternut squash galette and the Hellfire Club.
The Hellfire Club was really good.
The Hellfire Club, like, you and I both like a good sandwich.
Good Sammys.
And that bread was toasted. It was good. So, like, hard to dislike it, really. But yeah, it was a great week.
Great week.
I want to be like, we'll be back.
Let's go back. Let's go back.
So I have a trip coming up. I gotta go home. I'm going to go home to Oregon and visit my family. Who knows what Ben will book while I'm gone.
Maybe the dogs will go take a trip to doggy daycare, and I'm going to HHN by myself.
I told you you could. Do you guys think that Ben should go a solo trip?
I'd be
I feel like you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You'd be like,
B-roll! I'd be shooting B-roll all day.
Nobody's holding me back.
Nobody's here.
Except
I don't know what to do.
Ben's camera did overheat at one point during our trip while we were shooting some stuff.
I was so sad.
He was
so sad.
Very much a poopy panda after that. See, someone says do a solo trip.
Do a solo. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'll look at the work schedule and kind of see what happens. Might be when you show up. So you might just show up and have to go pick up the dogs.
You're terrible. You're terrible.
Good luck.
Well,
this has been fun.
Yeah. I hope this was a successful live for you guys because I really enjoyed it. First time doing this on YouTube. We normally are on our phone on Instagram. So it's been kind of fun to switch over here and get to see all the comments and talk with y'all. And we'll plan to do more of these, I guess, you know?
Yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, hit us up on Instagram, make a comment on a video. Like
Mhm.
we try and respond really quick to all the comments that we get on pretty much any social media platform. So
And keep an eye out this Sunday. I don't know what time,
9
but
a.m. It'll be up there at 9
keep an eye out for a challenge video to see Ben and I
Duke it out.
see who can complete all 10 houses the fastest.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.